And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Cloud Kingdom being the first map in our best of 3. Starting to the bottom left, we have the Prime player. He fell short in the third round of GSL Code A against Kiris. Now he's up against another Zerg.
Creator Prime.
Creator Prime.
He's got his Prime collar going.
Yes, and he is up against a champion. To the top right in blue, starting for Team MVP, we have
MVP. Don't let go.
Losing to MC, losing then in the GSTL as well, not able to go to Busan to attend either one of those finals, and now he's in a new competition.
Yeah. Today, he is not the final boss, he's the first player, fights Creator, and this is the first round for him as well. And I mean, just think about that. In the first round, we have Creator versus Dongrygu. What kind of a tournament are we watching right now? This is the tournament to decide who represents Korea in the Asia finals, and then we'll go on to Shanghai. Now, Creator is queuing up all of his probes. We'll be going for a Nexus first. He's forced the spawning pool down here with his scouting probe. There's no way for Dongrygu to go hatch first once this probe is out this early, which is common. And actually, he would probably be a little bit weirded out if there was no probe in his main base.
Here we have the map win rates for both players, 40% against 66. That's the current ratio here. And well, on this map we have Creator already with a pylon on the low ground. He's starting things off with his Forge. Center play from Creator. He's kind of known to always come up with new build orders and strategies, but on the other hand, of course, his opponent is a very, very strong player that will just find the small flaws in the openings of his opponent and exploit them.
By the way, Creator was going to go for a Nexus first and decided to add his Forge, but added it very late. So he's going to have his Nexus up here a little bit later than a Nexus first, but his Forge timing is a little bit odd. He will be able to actually get an extra probe as a result. Starts his pylon now. He's going to delay his gateway just a little bit as well, but everything is sorting up to be quite fine for him. He forces the natural not to be taken, though. Dongrygu taking the third base instead.
Exactly. Dongrygu was not able to take his natural because of the probe that was still hovering there. He decides to not wait around for the first few Zerglings and kill it, but went straight to the third base, took it, and now of course he will take another base fairly soon. We are at 350 and in the next 30 seconds this third hatch should be coming up for our Zerg player here. No gas taking so far, only Queens.
Yep, and this, of course, is something that Creator wants to scout, will not be able to though. He will loop his probe around a second time though to check for the natural. That's something he will be able to see. And that's going to tell him if he sees the hatchery, especially the build time on that, he'll know, okay, there's no way you could have had this if you took gas, so you don't have gas in your main.
420 and he drops hatch number 3, so exactly as expected. And let's find out what exactly Creator is going to do. The ball's in his court now. He needs to wait until Cybernetics core is done, and then he can start with his tech, can start with this transition, and we are going to find out what exactly he wants to do. Lately, we've seen a lot of Protoss players opening with the Stargate again, not only MC, also a few other Protoss players decided that Cloud Kingdom is a place to start with an air transition.
Yeah.
So let's find out what Creator is going to do.
Also, you know, we've noticed a lot of players have been doing this Phoenix hide the Phoenix build. And that's, I guess, what you could call it, where you just make Phoenixes and don't kill the scouting overlord with them unless he already scouts your Stargate, and then you go in with 4 or 5 Phoenixes. You go with 4, rally the 5th one, or 3, rally the 4th one, start picking off Queens, and then follow up with a big attack, and there's Stargate, yeah. Skips +1, at least initially here, to get that Stargate out very quickly.
Nice. The Overlord goes in once again, was already on the retreat path, and then DRG sends it in once more, spots the Stargate, well done.
Yeah, that's really important for him to be able to see this early and not be scouted. You know, if you make a Void Ray, for example, first and then kill the Overlord, of course the Overlord knows about the Void Ray, but then the Void Ray is already out, so it's a less comfortable position.
Do you know what he's seen? He's seen the probe move. The probe was moving and tried to build the Stargate, and then he realized, okay, there's the Overlord. The Overlord spots the probe, and then he moves back, and then he's like, wait a second. This probe didn't build anything. It just retreated. I can't see anything. So it had to build it in the small gap here at the wall, and moves in right away to scout it. So great awareness here by DRG, going in once again and scouts the Stargate, knows exactly what's coming.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These little things can actually really add up, and that sort of map awareness is insane. Really nice play from Dongrygu here. He's continuing to make drones. About to be up to a total of 45 versus the 38 of Creator. He's still chrono boosting out double. He is getting Void Ray first, and of course it's something that he's probably just done, not necessarily because that was his original plan, but because the Overlord already saw his Stargate. He's not going to be able to get away with anything sneaky. And this pressure from the Stalker and the Zealot is going to have to retreat. He wants to make force him to make some extra lings, but that's not going to be something that Dongrygu is going to overcommit to. In fact, only makes 2 additional ones, starts 5 more drones.
It would be cool for DRG if he was able to connect his 2 bases now. At this point, with the queen count that he has only 3. He's getting the 4th as we speak, now that he identified the Void Ray of his opponent. But he needs a little bit more creep. He needs to make sure that the 2 bases are connected, the 3rd and the 2nd, so that he can make use of his queens. And the additional queens are now building. Also, of course, Evolution Chamber, Lair, just all the tech that you need. You know that your opponent is not following it up with too much of a gateway aggression. He saw that there was no +1, and therefore thinks, okay, there's not to be too much gateways, but now Creator is just building them, researching +1, getting everything started, but everything, of course, a little bit delayed because he had to just spend so much gas on the Stargate and the Void Rays.
Exactly, and this is Dongrygu in a pretty fairly normal position now. I like this Void Ray. A lot of people have been doing this more and more recently. I think it's finally become the standard to use that Void Ray to push at least 1 tumor back. Nice catch on these slow links here. Now, Creator has gone up to 4 gateways. He's getting his robotics, adding some Phoenix here. And this is looking more and more like he wants to take a 3rd base with this. Got to be careful with this scouting Phoenix, though.
At the same time, of course, what he can do with now that he has the robotics is he can force the creep even further back. He doesn't have to rely on killing active creep tumors, but as soon as he starts to attack, does a little bit damage, he can fall back, just use the Void Ray, use 1 observer, and take down creep tumors to make sure that the creep spread is not getting out of control.
Yeah. By the way, I really like how patient Creator was with that Phoenix. You know, a lot of lesser players would have just said, I really want that Overlord, would have run in with the Phoenix to kill it. But in this case as well, I save my Phoenix. That's much more important than killing 1 extra Overlord. Not going to waste it here, not even going to risk it. And here's exactly what you're talking about. The Observer is rallying across the map. He's going to try to clear up these active tumors. And this is something that Dongrygu is going to have to deal with in some way, shape, or form, because if he allows this to happen for too long, then he's going to have no real creep, no presence on the map to go and take his 4th base, for example. 24 links on the way. He's getting a Spire out. Now this actually, I think, some people might argue this timing is going to be for Mutas, but I think he's actually just doing this knowing that Corruptors are going to have to be on the field soon.
I actually think so too. Mutalisks at this position would be, you can pull them off if you hide them for a while and if you build enough of them, but then you have to commit so much gas that he can't basically build anything else except for them. So it's a lot much more likely that he's going for Corruptors. He knows that his opponent is most likely following this Phoenix opening up with a few Colossi. This is exactly what's going to happen right now. But at this point now, he needs Corruptors. He needs Roaches, he's getting the speed, and Corruptors. This is the perfect composition, at least for the mid-game.
He's making a ton of extra Overlords here as well. Being a little bit fearful of these Phoenixes, perhaps. Spending a lot of resource on that. It makes his minerals kind of his limiting factor where he's got the gas. And here are already the Corruptors, 7 of them on the way. And I love this because a lot of players with this Phoenix opening try to force the Hydralisk out. Then the Colossus Ball-Up is scary. In this case, the Colossus Ball-Up is something that Dongrygu knows he's going to deal with. Rather than even worrying about when it's coming, he's not going to try to be reactionary here. Just getting the Corruptors out first. Losing a few drones here.
Losing way too many. And he doesn't even use his Queen in order to defend against them. He could use the Queen a little bit farther to the right. But now the Corruptors out, and if the Phoenix aren't careful, all of them will die. But they get out.
A little bit weird. He had the Corruptors there as well as the Queens. He didn't use either of them, and a lot of drones were killed.
8 in total.
8, yeah.
He's going now for the transition once again in the fixation pit, very important at this point. In the mid-game he can control things now with Roach and Infestor. He can actually pressure the Protoss player, but he prepares the transition for the late game. He wants the hive, he wants the opportunity to get a couple of Broodlords into the picture, and of course also wants to have some Infestors. The Void Ray dies immediately, and therefore DRG here, not only with a 50 supply lead, but at the same time also in a very good composition situation regarding his unit composition.
Exactly, and the 4th base I think is really crucial here because Creator now down at 160 in supply. He's trying to build that composition to be aggressive with. You can see he's adding the 4 gateways right now. If you look at the production tab, and that indicates, okay, now my 3rd base is up. I've mined enough. I can start to build these additional gateway units. I can start to be aggressive on the map. My blink is done. I've got +3 on the way. My +3 is going to kind of line up with these extra gates, the extra warp ends. Then I can start moving on the map and prepare to deal with his hive tech. But Dongrygu has already got a 4th mining right now. He's getting the gases there, and he's got an aggressive army on the map. So Creator is kind of like a step behind right now, I feel. And this is going to become more and more problematic if he can't take a 4th base or start to be aggressive.
With him losing those Phoenixes, it's also going to be a problem in the fight. Those Phoenixes in the end didn't do anything anymore, but if you use them with your main army later on, they will actually tank shots of the Corruptors, which is so important to keep the Colossi alive. So he's currently only in position of, well, 2 Colossi. There are a lot of Phoenixes in total, sorry, Corruptors. We have 9 in total. So that's just basically 2-3 shotting one of the Colossi, and then they're gone.
Exactly.
So that's pretty dangerous. I like that he's bringing the Queens along so that he can actually transfuse during the fight. The Infestors are on their way, +2/+2 lined up. This is gonna be very, very scary for Creator. If he's caught out on the map, he might just lose his army.
You know what's funny is I was actually about to say, there's no mistake that this is not a mistake by Dongrigu. He definitely did this on purpose. Then the Queens go a little bit too far forward.
And the rest of the army's gone.
Yeah, now they're coming back though. And, well, he's not going to be able to save these Queens, but I think the idea was definitely there. Blinks forward, takes out an Infestor. That was a sick snipe.
I think he just completely forgot about them. He moved out, but then he forgot about it completely.
Oh, 2 more Infestors dying. Does get Fungals with them, but that's not very good.
No.
I mean, he needs to get the Fungals when it counts, you know, not just kind of randomly there.
Yeah, exactly. So this was definitely a bit of an oversight here. He's getting 19 Banelings, but he allowed Creator to get into a good position here.
And the Colossi are going to do so much DPS. He's already got the split. And oh man, this is not looking good for Dongrigu. Creator way up in spite. The Baneling's totally at the back.
What is he doing?
This is not a good engagement at all, and the Banelings fall. The Corruptor's kind of dead air right now. He's not even targeting the Colossus. Exactly what is he doing?
He's attacking up a choke point into an army that is already split where there's a concave. This was a horrible engagement by the